in the deep, cathedral-like silence of California's ancient redwood forests, where sunlight filters through foliage as old as recorded history, a team of scientists made a discovery that gently unraveled the boundaries between nature and human legacy. The redwoods and Sequoia, towering guardians of time, have long stood as monuments to endurance. These trees, some over 3,000 years old, have survived fires, floods, and the steady march of centuries. Among them is the famed General Sherman tree, the largest known living single-stem tree on Earth. It was in the shadow of these giants that Dr. Harper Thorne, a seasoned biologist and environmental scientist, was commissioned to conduct a health assessment of a particularly venerable sequoia. The mission, while routine in scope, would prove anything but ordinary. As Dr. Thorne and her team journeyed into the forest's primeval heart, they marveled at the resilience of these trees. Some soared over 300 feet into the sky, their bark deeply grooved and fire-resistant, shaped by the trials of time. Upon reaching their designated tree, they began their evaluations, measuring, observing, and documenting when they noticed something unexpected. On the far side of the tree's immense trunk was a large gash, likely caused by a recent storm. Such a wound was uncommon, given the tree's natural strength. It was wide enough to allow a person to pass through. As they stepped inside the hollowed chamber, a quiet awe fell over the group. These tree hollows, formed over centuries, are not rare, but what lay within this one was astonishing. A collection of bones, partly encased in the wood itself. The tree had grown around the remains. Delicately, without disturbing the tree, the team began to document their find. Photographs were taken, samples collected, and experts from multiple disciplines called in archaeologists, paleontologists, and dendrochronologists, each trying to unravel the mystery. Initial analysis suggested the bones were human and dated back nearly 1,000 years, long before European settlers arrived in the region. The implications were profound. How did these bones come to rest within the sequoia? Could this be an unknown burial practice? Or had someone entered the tree in life, perhaps seeking shelter during a storm, or fleeing danger and never emerged? Dr. Thorne consulted with representatives of local Native American tribes, the Yurok, Karuk, and Thule peoples, who have long called the redwood forests home. While none could confirm traditions of placing remains within trees, they shared stories of individuals who sought refuge in tree hollows during periods of conflict or catastrophe. Oral histories, passed down for generations, held subtle echoes of what might have occurred here. The team expanded their research, exploring historical and anthropological records. Interestingly, tree burials have been documented in several ancient cultures. In Bronze Age Britain, for instance, people were sometimes laid to rest in hollowed tree trunks, their bodies cradled by timber in symbolic reverence. In parts of North America, some indigenous tribes practiced excarnation, placing bodies in trees or on platforms to decompose naturally before the bones were gathered and buried. These customs acknowledged the tree not only as part of the natural world, but as a vessel of transition between life and the afterlife. While the researchers couldn't confirm the exact cultural origin of the remains within the sequoia, advanced imaging and non-invasive scanning confirmed the bones were carefully placed, not randomly scattered. Radiocarbon dating, combined with tree ring analysis, revealed that the tree began growing around the bones shortly after they were placed there, meaning the remains had lain peacefully within for centuries, undisturbed and preserved by nature itself. Yet, as the investigation progressed, caution tempered curiosity. Removing the bones for detailed analysis would risk harming the ancient tree, a violation of the very sanctity that had protected the remains for so long. The team chose instead to preserve both the story and the tree, using 3D modeling, ground-penetrating radar, and digital scans to study the site without intrusion. Within the scientific community, the discovery sparked both intrigue and respectful debate. Some saw it as evidence of a forgotten cultural practice. Others urged restraint, noting the absence of definitive proof. But for Dr. Thorne and her team, the greatest takeaway wasn't just academic, it was spiritual. The sequoia had stood for centuries, quietly cradling a secret. It had borne witness to passing seasons, wildfires, snowfalls, and the slow hum of time. And within its core, it held a single human story, a mystery that might never be fully solved, but one that speaks profoundly to the enduring bond between humanity and the natural world. As the forest continues its ancient rhythm, this tree remains a living monument,